Hello, this is Tucker from the Math and Physics Resource Center at SVSU, and in this video we're going to go over difference of squares factoring with leading coefficient that's other than 1. So, difference of squares, remember, is that a squared minus b squared equals a plus b times a minus b. That'll be the general form that we want to use. Now, in example 1, this one looks a little different than the ones that we were doing in the previous video, because this one starts with a 4 at the very beginning. Now, this will make it a little bit more tricky, but it's still the same process. So with this first term, we have to choose this entire term and figure out what the square root of it is. So 4x squared. So to figure out the square root, first we can look at this number in the front. The square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of x squared is just x. So this 2x will be our term that we want to use for the general form of the factorization. And then if we want to separate this 9 out, 9 is really 3 squared. So this 2x and the 3 are going to be the two terms that we want to use for this one. So if we plug into the general form, we've got 2x plus 3 times 2x minus 3. And that'll be the factorization for this one. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same general process. It's just at the beginning we have to do a little bit more to figure out that term. So moving on to example 2. This one right here, we could start out with difference of squares right away, but we'll actually have to do more later for that. What I would do for this one, since both terms have this x squared in it, we can pull that out right at the beginning. So we'll have x squared equals 36x squared, and then minus just 1. So now, with this term, we can do a difference of squares. So 36x squared will factor out just like the last example. So 36x squared is really equal to 6 and x, the whole thing squared. So this is our first term, and then 1 is really still just 1 squared, right? So our two terms are going to be 6x and 1. So remember, we have to keep that first x squared out front, and then we'll factor that piece out. So we get 6x plus 1 and 6x minus 1. So now, moving on to example 3, this is similar to example 2, but the two variables are different from each other, so we can't pull out the x squared like we did at the beginning. We'll just have to start out with difference of squares right away. So these are our two terms that we have to square root. So 9y to the 4th is really going to be 3y squared squared, since 9 square rooted is 3, and y to the 4th is really y squared squared. Now 49x squared, that'll be equal to 7x, the whole thing squared. So this the 3y squared and the 7x will be our two terms for this one. So we'll have 3y squared plus 7x and 3y squared minus 7x. And neither of these terms can be factored anymore, so this will be our final for this one. So difference of squares, overall, we're always going to be using this general form with the a squared minus b squared. If you get a problem that has a plus in the middle, we actually can't do difference of squares. This entire form only works if we're subtracting the two terms. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, so as long as you follow this general form, they shouldn't be too difficult for you. Well, that's about it. Thank you for watching.